This podcast is part of the Batman Universe Podcast Network, hosted by the BatmanUniverse.net. Check out everything related to Batman and the entire Bat family at the BatmanUniverse.net, including news and original content related to comics, movies, television, merchandise, video games, and more. Also, check out some of the other unique podcasts that TBU has to offer. Consider supporting this podcast by becoming a patron on Patreon. Even $1 can go a long way in supporting this content that you enjoy. Look for a link over at the BatmanUniverse.net to offer your support now. And now, on with the show.
Scarecrows frightened of the clouds, laughing boys. I am a Batman. I am a Batman. Shine and signal, come out to play. I am a Batman. I am a Batman. Bring it on, Batman. Jump out your cave, 'cause I am a Batman. I am a Batman.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 234 of Dublin Dane. My name is Tim, and joining me, as always, not currently in Dublin, but in his home in Hawaii, Dane.
Not currently in Dublin. Yeah, I like that. I keep on forgetting that our name now is Dublin Dane. I'm just so used to saying at Tim G311. Like it just it just automatically. I mean, it surprises me all the time.
Well, we're still early in 2022, where February is just about to be over, so maybe once we're through March, you'll be so familiar with Dublin Dane, it'll just roll right off the tongue. It won't sound strange to you anymore.
Yeah, hopefully, like I'll get used to the name before we have to change it back to, like, I don't know, something like, I don't know, Stockholm Tim or something.
Stockholm. It's been a while since we had like a long, crazy name. We've got the short ones the last few years.
Still, the one that sticks out to me, the one good name that we had, I gotta say, is Timmy Time and the Bat-Fan Revolution.
That's right. Right.
That's like the best name we've come up with so far.
That was a good one. Yes.
Yeah. So like,
I don't remember what year that one was in, but it was fun saying it.
So like Timmy Time, the Bat-Fan Revolution, Bat-Fans Without Pants.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember how we came up with that one. I know we must have said something about Prince and the Revolution. For Timmy Time and the Bat-Fan Revolution. But yeah, I can't remember Bat-Fans Without Pants. Yeah.
Bat-Fans Without Pants might have been the first one, if I'm remembering right. Was
that it? No.
Because that was always, it still is, our email address. So we just took that for the first one.
It'd be fun if we have to change it every time. We have to change the email every time.
Yeah, we're not going that deep into our name changes.
That extreme.
Exactly. As long as you say it on an episode, we're fine.
But anyway, what's up with you, Tim? It seems like forever since we've talked.
That's true. It's been a full 2 weeks, as always. But you're kind of right. It does seem a little longer. But I don't know. You or me were just talking about how we were recording. How it looks like we're never going to be going to the Star Wars Galactic Cruiser.
Yeah. That's not in my. I have to. You and I have to save up our Dane bucks and our Tim bucks for that.
I know. Well, we should get like a GoFundMe page going or something. Send Tim and Dane to the Star Wars Galactic Cruiser.
But even then, like, I would be like, yeah, it's not really worth it. Like, even if somebody were to come up to me and say, like, here's $6,000, go to Galactic Starcruiser, I'd still be like, oh yeah, but that's $6,000 that I could use, or Tim could use, or whatever. It's like, do I really want to spend it on?
Exactly.
Galactic Starcruiser.
Because unless it's like a voucher or something where you have to, that's like the only thing you can use it for, then no brainer. But it was like someone just had you $6,000 and said, "There, this is for you to go to the Galactic Starcruiser. You might think, well,
Yeah.
that $6,000 could get me something else that's going to be a lot more
Something else,
worthwhile,
yeah.
probably.
Yeah,
Because that's
it's kind of like the videos that I was watching, for me at least, is like the rooms look really small, right? And realistically, if I were to go, I would have to split up the cost with two other people, let's say, right?
mhm.
So Tim and somebody else, right? So me, Tim, and somebody else goes, and then the room is small. Tim, you said you're over 6 feet, so like you would have to take the bed, which means I would have to take out of the cubby, the cubby hole beds, or
The bunks.
the
Yeah.
yeah, the bunks, or the fold out bed. And not to mention that, I mean, like I said, the room seems small, and you're sharing it with three other people. I mean, two other people. Sorry. So yeah, I don't know if it's worth it. I mean, I'm sure like the hotel itself is booked for like, I don't know, the next year or so, but I don't know. It's not really in my wheelhouse. I'll say.
Yeah, and we were talking about how we started before we started recording, how we were watching some videos because they had like the press junkets or the preview experiences for the hotel that's going to be opening soon, and just how watching it just seems like some of it looks cool and some of it doesn't. That's where it doesn't really justify the expensive price tag that's on it, and it's just
Yeah.
how, yeah, it just doesn't seem worth it. And talking about how, as me as a diehard Star Wars fan, as everyone knows, how this is like the first time that they're really trying to market this thing, and we're like all the tie-ins and promotional stuff just feels so off and like annoyingly so, where they're trying to push this thing to get you to go when it's that expensive. Like these stories are trying to tie into it. The wedding of Han Solo and Princess Leia, they're coming out with a novel about that, and it just seems like the main focus is to show that their honeymoon was on the Halcyon cruiser. Like, forget about like them marrying each other and starting a family. Just let's focus on their honeymoon on the Halcyon cruiser because we got to promote this new hotel and Star Wars experience that's so expensive that we want you to go to. It's just, this whole thing just feels off to me. And yeah, you rarely hear me complain about anything Star Wars. So this is like
Right.
the most I've probably done in a long, long time, if not ever. So this is like my excitement level, even if it was reasonably priced. So it just, I don't see myself traveling to Florida to experience it. Not when you have Galaxy's Edge, which is, in my opinion, I can't really say because I haven't gone to the Galaxy or the Star Cruiser, but from what I've seen and from what I know what you get to do, I just feel that Galaxy's Edge is going to be so much of a better Star Wars immersive experience with how it looks, the locations, and then the ride experiences. I mean, I talked about it on this podcast. I talked about it on the Saga Continues, just how amazing Rise of the Resistance is as a ride and just a Star Wars immersive experience. It's like second to nothing I've ever experienced as a Star Wars fan. So when that's sitting there, especially right in my backyard, the desire to go to the Galactic Starcruiser is pretty low on my Star Wars like fandom experience that I would like to do at some point. But if someone, like we're talking about the hypotheticals, if someone has free vouchers and a free trip to Florida, then yeah, of course I'll take them up on that. But it's probably going to be a long time for me to go and experience that. And right now I'm okay with it. I don't feel like I'm really missing anything where it's like my Star Wars fandom is incomplete unless I go there. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's some cool stuff in some of the videos I was watching. The stuff does look cool, but not enough for that price tag is something where I feel I really have to do.
Yeah, and I I don't know. I mean, I guess it, if we're gonna ignore the price tag of it for a second, it I guess you gotta sort of give Disney a chance where it's like I can't really think of another hotel really like this,
Mm-hmm.
where they're trying to bring up the Disney experience, the Disney park into a hotel and have both of them together. Having this themed hotel, but also having this performance, interactive performance thing that you're gonna do while it's connected to Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
and like I guess you gotta like really cut Disney some slack on that. But like again, for me and for you, I guess it always comes down to the. I mean, it comes back to the price tag. You know, it's like it's not from what I've seen, it's not worth like going to Florida and then paying $6,000 at the very least because again, like I thought it was all inclusive, where it's like all of your food was. I mean, I know they had
Oh,
that
damn. So optimistic.
I know. I'm sorry, I forgot for a second how capitalism works. But like, I thought for like that price tag, they would at least make it all inclusive. Like your drinks are free. You know, you get a buffet. You know, and like it's only if you want something else you would have to pay for it. But I guess it seems like you're paying for your drinks and you're paying for your food as well on top of the $6,000 price tag. And then if you want to like buy the Jedi robes or you want to go to Batu or Galaxy's Edge, you know, like it's going to cost you even more money. So it's like I don't know. It's bad form for me anyway on Disney's part, where it's like they're excluding so many people from this experience, whereas like Galaxy's Edge is a little more affordable for people. And it's like it's so weird how like they have Galaxy's Edge and then they have something like Galactic Starcruiser where it's only for like I wouldn't even say diehard fans, like the people that can really afford it. You know, like
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's diehard fans. Is it? Are people really going to save up money for this?
I know there's definitely going to be some. There's always some, but I don't think it's
Yeah.
going to be as many as they're probably hoping for, as they would expect.
Yeah, but I mean, like you're the biggest Star Wars fan I've ever known. Period. So like, if it's turning you off, then it's like, I don't know who is this for?
Yeah, like you said,
Just
just
for
like the super
this is just
rich who
for
want to
yeah,
experience
rich people. Yeah,
or even like diehard Disney like park
Disney people.
fans who like
Yeah,
to experience all this stuff. So who can afford it? That's the thing. Like, how many of these people can afford it that are like that? It's just so crazy to think that that's
yeah.
the price point they're going with. I mean, you really got to think about Galactic Starcruiser, or should I get myself a new car or something like that? A down payment on a new
Yeah,
car or
right.
something. It's like,
That's so amazing that one room is the down payment for a car.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's bad form on Disney's part for me anyway.
Yeah,
Because
I was just hoping like
yeah,
once like they were having all these preview experiences, people got to see it and then they were showing what it's like. I was hoping it would sell me on it more, like saying, "Oh man, this does look really cool." Well, like, I really
Yeah.
want to experience that. I really didn't get that feeling with some of the videos I
Mhm.
was watching for it.
I mean, it looked really cool, like the interactive part, you know, on your phone, and then
Yeah.
like I saw they went into like an engineering room, and
Mm.
you know they had like a whole storyline connected to whichever uh,
You get to choose like what faction you kind of want to
what
support or be a
faction,
part
right?
of. Resistance,
Yeah, that
First
was the
Order,
word.
Jedi.
Yeah, that was the word I was looking for. Like which faction? There's a different story, and then the character interactions, like the different characters you're interacting with. Like if you're with, you know, the First Order or whatever. So yeah, I mean, it seems really cool, really interactive. It's just again the price point.
Yeah. But I guess we got to experience through other people's eyes. That right now, that'll be good enough for me.
I'm actually shocked that nothing really stuck out for you. Really,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, certain things
big
look cool.
Star
The
Wars
room
fan.
does look cool, but
Yeah,
again, it's like nothing that's mind blowing, really.
yeah, yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's just a hotel,
Yeah.
a $6,000 hotel.
I know, but would you pay that much to go to a hotel in the Shire in Hobbiton and have that full experience? Would you do that? Would you pay that to experience the birthday party that Bilbo has, where we're currently at in our minute by minute commentary for the Fellowship of the Ring. Now, if I'm not going to pay that much for a Star Wars experience, I probably won't do the same for Lord of the Rings either. But living in the Shire would be a cool thing to do as well. I'm going to put that out there. Maybe that'll be something Warner Brothers does.
What about to go to New Zealand? Period. Right? Like to
And
like
actually,
go to,
yeah, if they open that up to where you can stay in there for a night or two,
yeah.
that would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, like you go to New Zealand, you could stay there, and you can go around New Zealand. That'd be worth $6,000, right?
It might be cheaper than that. It'd be cheaper than $6,000.
Wow.
Get to see a fireworks show by Gandalf.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I'm surprised Warner Brothers or whoever holds the license to it now. Because I remember reading somewhere like it's up for sale again, like the film rights and game rights. So it's like you would think Time Warner would want to keep that as one of the biggest IPs that they have control of. But
speaking of Lord of the Rings, so the Super Bowl happened, and I guess I missed the trailer. I don't know when it was, but I missed it. I thought it would be towards the latter part of the game.
It was. I think it was like after the halftime event.
Yeah. I missed it. So I went on YouTube and tried to look it up, and I mean it was the first hit, but oh my god, the amount of
you saw all the reaction videos for it already complaining about it.
Yeah, complaining about it. It's like they're ruining Tolkien's legacy. That was the first video I saw. That was the first video that my eyes went to, even though the trailer was the first video on the list.
I told you, we said it on our last episode where we were talking about how the trailer's coming out. How this is the sequel trilogy all over again.
I didn't know it was that bad, Tim. Like, honestly,
I told you.
Yeah. And so like they're ruining. Let me get this straight, just so like I don't misinterpret anything. They're ruining Tolkien's legacy because there's black people in it.
That's the gist of it, really. I mean, I think they're trying to hide that, but that's really what it's coming down to.
What you're saying at the end of the day is Tolkien was a racist?
Trying to put that, trying to put that how you are like that on Tolkien.
I don't think he was, judging from what he said during his lifetime. I mean, I don't think.
And when you just look at the core story of the Lord of the Rings, I mean, come on.
Right. I mean, it's kind of about race, right?
Yeah, so coming together and all that.
So, is that what you're saying in a weird way that like Tolkien wouldn't have black people in the story or brown people?
Yeah, it's so frustrating.
Is that what you're saying?
Horrible to see. Yeah, it's like some of the fans they're showing the true color. Just like again, I'm just comparing it to the sequel trilogy when that happened. Yeah, it's just the exact same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But really putting all that aside, all that negativity, horrible stuff. What did you think of the trailer?
I liked it. Yeah, I really liked it. I hope it's not like. I hope they really put money behind it. It seems like they did.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I was watching the Wheel of Time television show, and it's like, oh yeah, that doesn't look very good.
Really?
Like I had that reaction. Yeah. So I'm hoping that they put money behind it, and I don't know, maybe use some practical effects. But I thought it looks really really cool. So like that elf that was like mountain climbing or whatever with the knife, that's supposed to be Galadriel.
Yeah, that's Galadriel.
Like a young Galadriel. So like
a few thousand years younger, yeah.
Oh, but why did her face change then? I mean, why does she look younger?
Well, I mean that's the thing. I mean, we're so used to Cate Blanchett's great portrayal of Galadriel, and as far as I know, this is its own thing, so it's not connected to the movies. It's not supposed to be leading up to that, where they're going to age or whatever and look like Cate Blanchett and Hugo Weaving as for Elrond.
This show this show sucks now.
Yeah.
Before I see it.
I'll wait for your YouTube video and reaction to it.
Oh, don't wait for that because I'm not that mad. I did day-to-day life.
You mean you can actually move on and go on with your life?
I don't know. I just don't think that this show is ruining Tolkien's legacy. I don't think anything could do that.
Yeah, right.
I mean, unless you find out he's a secret Nazi, but I don't think he was. He wasn't. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
for me,
I thought it looked cool.
Yeah, I like what I saw. I still want to see more of it, to like really get a grasp of what the show's going to be. But I think visually it looks impressive for what you expect for a Lord of the Rings TV show to be, and the scope that it has. I think it looks really good. And yeah, we just got teases of some of the characters, new and old. Galadriel got the most. I think probably screen time in this trailer, and it was a very short trailer, so to even form like a full opinion on it, it's just like, come on. It is could really say if it, the brief look we got, if it captured what you're hoping for in a Lord of the Rings film. But at the same time, even if it didn't, I think or I said Lord of the Rings film, a Lord of the Rings TV show. But even at the same time, if it didn't capture you right away, I still feel you got to give it a chance if you're a Lord of the Rings fan to see a few episodes to really full on say if you're enjoying it or not. But just to immediately hate it based off this one short glimpse is just ridiculous. But yeah, I think it looks cool, and I'm excited to see more.
I don't know why, but I kind of want more dwarves. I don't know. I just think they look really cool in the Tolkieniverse or whatever you call it.
I mean, I do like the locations they're going at. Like where the dwarves are at is going to be in Khazad-dûm, which is where in Moria, before they dug too deep and brought out the Balrog.
Yeah.
So to kind of see Moria and Khazad-dûm in all its glory that Gimli was boasting about in Fellowship, it's going to be really cool to see.
Yeah, it'll be. That's again one of my biggest pet peeves of. I mean, not pet peeves, but like questions about both Fellowship of the Ring, the book, and the movie. Is like, what was the time period? When was the last time that Gimli saw Khazad-dûm? Like, because he's selling it like it's Galactic Starcruiser. Like you're gonna have this great experience. You're gonna be drinking, you're gonna be eating, you're gonna be, partying all night and all day and night. But then they get there and it's like it's a tomb. So like when was like the last time that Gimli was at Khazad-dûm? That's my question.
Yeah. So again, why dwarven history is going to be rusty, but I don't even know if Gimli ever was that Khazad-dûm. He might just know the stories and heard it from his family. So it might be something he never even got to see. So
yeah,
but again, I'm not 100% sure. It's
like you know where you should really go, Tim? You should really go to Portland, Oregon. It's so great there. There's a lot of food. There's a lot of drinks. There's a lot of people that you can be happy, be friends with. And then you ask me like, oh, when was the last time you've been there? It's like, oh, I've never been there.
Yeah. I'll take your word for it anyway. So yeah, we got the trailer. It looks cool, and it's coming sooner than you think. September. I mean, like I said, we're still in the beginning of 2022, but the year's already going by quick. It's going to be September before you know it. So I'm really excited for it. So hopefully it delivers on its potential, because I just think with the characters and the timeline or the time period they're doing it in the Second Age, it is so much potential for cool stuff. And I think so far visually it looks like to be on the right track on delivering that.
So how many years between Lord of the Rings and
I want to say like 3,000, something like that.
Wow. Okay.
I believe
they're
again,
really going back. Yeah.
As much as I love Lord of the Rings and the history of it, I'm not super knowledgeable about the complete lore and timeline of everything. So I may be wrong, but I know it's in the thousands.
Oh, Tim, you fake fan. You fake Lord of the Rings fan, Tim.
I never claimed to be a Lord of the Rings expert, Just a really big fan.
Also, you're not excited to go to Galactic Starcruiser, Tim? Well, you must be a fake Star Wars fan, also.
All right, I'll admit it. I've been a fake fan for years. I never really liked it. Ever since I was little, I only pretended to like Star Wars for the hope that one day they'll make a hotel based on it. But since it didn't deliver, it's all been for nothing.
Yeah, you just kept up the act for 30 years. Or whatever.
It's all come crashing down with my disappointment for the Galactic Starcruiser. I'm sorry. But anyway, I guess with that lead-in, we can get into our minute-by-minute commentary for the Fellowship of the Ring. And as always, you want to grab your relevant media format that everyone still has readily available, like your VHS copy, your Betamax copy, your DVD copy, your Laserdisc copy, your HD DVD copy, and one I know I mentioned a few episodes ago, but then forgot to bring it up. And you reminded me, Dane, via text. PSP UMD disc. Those great little discs that you can watch movies like Spider-Man 2, the only one I did have when I got my PSP back in 2005.
on your PSP, I don't know, what was it, like a 4.5-inch screen?
Something like that.
Yeah.
At the time before we had smartphones and all that, that was a pretty big deal. Wow, I'm watching the full-length movie on this like new Game Boy type device.
How many discs do you think the Fellowship of the Ring would be?
Oh man, what, 10?
Yeah.
And it was funny. Do you remember? I forget. Did you have a PSP, Dane?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know how the disc came in like that case that was on that they're in?
Yeah.
And you just stick that in their PSP and play it or watch the movie. When I first got it, I thought, I have to take the disc out of that case.
So did I.
I opened it up or tried to open, like it's not opening. Then I don't even remember how I realized, you just stick it in. I don't know if it said it somewhere or if I just tried to put it in, but part of me thought, oh man, am I damaging it? We're trying to yank it out of that case that it was in.
So I got my PSP all those many years ago, Tim. I bought it with Silent Hill. It was a Silent Hill port for PSP.
Okay.
So I bought it, brought it home, and same thing with you. Couldn't figure out how to get the disc out of that plastic white case. And I'm pulling at it and pulling at it and pulling at it, and then I break it. Then I try to put it in, it doesn't work. I've really screwed myself. And I had to go back and buy another game. So I know exactly where you're coming from.
Like, why did they design it like that? It's so weird.
Yeah, it's like this is the stupidest design I've ever seen in my life. I can't get the disc out of the case. So yeah,
maybe that's what killed
exactly. Yeah. Well, that, and it never really took off like PlayStation. Sony wanted it to, I think.
No, yeah, they had some great games though on there. I actually got a sizable amount of PSP games that are like exclusive there. I know the best one being Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. But I'm still hoping one day they make a port of to put on consoles, because that's like a really great Final Fantasy VII story, and an integral one too to get the full experience or the full story of Final Fantasy VII. And that Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep is one of the best Kingdom Hearts games out there. They ported that to the consoles, which was nice. So that's why I kind of wish they did it for Final Fantasy Crisis Core. And then Dissidia, the Final Fantasy fighting game, that game, they did 2 of those. Those are really fun. Then they tried making a console version of it, the PS4, and it was not as good as the PSP versions.
Well, I mean, I guess you just have to enjoy Crisis Core on PSP, because I don't know, the port might not be so good, Tim.
But they did such a good job with the Kingdom Hearts one. That's what gives me hope. They just messed up on the Dissidia one.
Did you only own Spider-Man 2 on UMD?
Yeah, that was the only movie I ever had. It's because it came with the PSP when it came out.
Yeah, I never owned any movies for for the UMD, the PSP. The only reason why I thought to mention it to you, or to remind you, I guess, was every time that GameFly has a sale of their video games, they always have like one or two PSP UMD games, and they're always for like $2.
Well, that's
And
surprising to me.
it's always like a movie that you've never heard of.
So it's not even games; it's movies.
Yeah, movies. Yeah, they always have PSP UMD movies. Sorry, and they're always like $2, and it's always movies you've never heard of. And like I think like one of them was like this Ryan Reynolds movie called Friends with Benefits. I've never seen it, but I've seen that one. A lot of Ryan Reynolds movies.
Is Green Lantern on there? Do they make a special port of Green Lantern for the UMD?
I've never seen Green Lantern, but I've seen like his romantic comedies. But I don't know. It's they always have them. I guess they're just trying to get rid of their inventory of.
I would imagine
PSP.
so. Why not just send them out free to someone who orders something else just to get rid of it?
It's like, here, you take this. But yeah, that's why. It's because I always see they always have like one or two for like $2. So yeah.
So yeah, I got to remember to mention UMD now because it is a
Yeah.
great media device or media platform. It really is.
A platform that nobody really used to begin with. Nobody uses now.
And I don't see it making a comeback, unfortunately.
I wonder if it's because of the smartphone, right? Like,
Oh,
you can
easily,
watch a
yeah.
movie on your phone, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you don't need any media, physical media. Right?
No, but in awkward cases that the disc comes in trying to figure out how to stick it in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you have Lord of the Rings on that, grab your PSP and put however many discs it took just for the first half of the movie. So watch it with. Or you can get your Blockbuster membership card, your Netflix physical media disc in the red envelope, your DVHS copy, and as much as we love UMDs, still not as great as your VHS to converted DVD copy, which is what we're watching right now. So we're going to go from minute 23 to minute 24. So if you're ready, Dane, I'll give the countdown.
I am, Tim.
Right. 3, 2, 1, play. Get a great shot of Pippin and Merry with their faces covered in smoke watching Gandalf's fireworks go up. As we see our first look at Smaug in the Middle Earth movies in firework form.
Was that who that's supposed to be?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think that's why Frodo is kind of so anxious to get to Bilbo to try to help him because he fears it's like Smaug has come back to get his revenge.
I never understood this scene. It's like, oh, we almost just died, but then, oh, what a beautiful fireworks show.
Yeah. When they realize they're all right, might as well enjoy how great that fireworks show was. Wouldn't that be cool to experience in a Lord of the Rings type themed hotel or whatever experience Gandalf's fireworks show? Like that'd have to be number one if you try to recreate the Hobbit experience.
That one scene with Gandalf sipping the cup and Pippin and Merry washing the dishes is the one scene where I don't know what you call it, the skeuomorphic effect doesn't really work.
You think so?
Yeah.
Maybe if I paused it and looked at it and analyzed it, I would see it. But for how quick it is, I really never had an issue or felt that it looked off to me in any way. But you're probably right, though. If I really study it, I'd probably notice something.
I mean, it's only one scene, considering, like, I wonder how much. I wonder how much Ian McKellen had to do, like, with looking at nobody, like acting to nobody, because that the Hobbit actor is way in the back.
Yep. I'm not sure if we mentioned this before, but on the Hobbit special features of the first Hobbit movie, you see Ian McKellen just get frustrated about doing that again. It's like, I can't keep doing this or somewhere. Like, it
Really?
just felt really, really bad about Peter Jackson. Kind of had to calm him down and get him back
Yeah.
into it. But it's kind of crazy to see him react that way. But there was
But
a
I
lot
mean,
of work that went into it. Yeah.
just
To make it
shows how
look
much
right.
how it just shows how much of a good actor he is, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
How he can like act to nobody really. So, yeah.
Without question. All right. And with that, we can go ahead and get into our featured topic for this episode, which is going to be, I mean, it's right around the corner, our excitement level and what we're most looking forward to with the Batman. As we're recording this episode, it is the Saturday, the week before its release. And when this episode drops, it's going to be the premiere night, Thursday. So as you're listening to this, you might have seen the Batman already or are just about to see it. So it's an exciting time that the movie is finally here after everything that went on with its production. I mean, just think about it. It's going way back to when it was supposed to be Ben Affleck's movie to star in and direct. And then the talks about that, him falling out as the director and of it still being in the role. And then getting Matt Reeves involved. And if you remember, talks fell apart between Matt Reeves and Warner Brothers, and that was a big disappointment. And then him coming back, and it was excitement again. And then the question about, oh, is Ben Affleck still going to be Batman? And then I got revealed that he was done playing Batman. So the question is, who's going to be the new Batman? Oh, it's Robert Pattinson. That's going to go over well with fans, just like Ben Affleck's casting announcement did. So the lead up to this movie has been crazy, like no other Batman film. But it's finally here. Everything we've seen about it from the trailers. I've seen the first three. I know there's been a few, like maybe one more trailer and a bunch of TV spots that have dropped, and I've stayed away for all those. But the movie looks and sounds great, and it's just going to be like a Batman movie that I think is just really going to deliver when it's all said and done. I couldn't be more excited for it, and the closer we're getting for it, the more excited I get. And we're going to talk about some of the reasons why that is. But it's finally here, and it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see it and then get to talk about it. But just for me anyway, right off the bat, one of the things that I got a couple of things that I'm just really looking forward to seeing how this Batman movie tells its story and the performances and all that stuff, and just what I'm excited for. But I might do a little bit of cheat here for my first one, because I was originally going to say to experience the full score of Michael Giacchino's music for the Batman as I'm watching the movie. But much to my surprise, the soundtrack just came out. It was released a few days ago. And
Oh, really?
yeah, and I'm
Oh, I didn't
someone
even see.
who I'm actually like to listen to soundtracks before seeing the movie. It might sound kind of weird because I'm someone who doesn't like to know spoilers anymore and know as little as possible going into it. But with the soundtrack and the music for movies, I'm all about listening to it early, because to me, it just adds to the excitement and the hype level for me without ruining anything as far as story and spoilers go. But to me, it just adds to my excitement level before a movie comes out. And it just really signifies how close we are to the release of the movie, because that's all started with, and that's how I felt with the Star Wars prequels, because those soundtracks came out a few weeks, almost a month before the movie, and that just really signaled, okay, the movie's almost here. We're hearing the music from it, and it just got me super excited. And I've been that way for a lot of movies that I just cannot wait to see. I always listen to the soundtrack first if they become available. Sometimes they're not. Although new Star Wars movies, the soundtracks came out the day of the movie, so didn't have that fun with those ones, getting to hear the music early. But I'm glad for the Batman it came out and I got to hear it last night, actually. So I can't really say it's something I'm excited to see in the movie now because I've heard it, but at the same time, it added to my excitement level because Michael Giacchino did a really great job with the soundtrack. They did release character themes like every week leading up to it. We got one for the Batman, we got one for the Riddler and Catwoman. And I loved all those themes, and I heard them when they were released, and I just thought, oh, these are great new themes for the characters that I felt is capturing what these versions of these characters are going to be in this movie. So that got me excited to hear the whole score. And I did last night, and it was a really good score because he uses those themes throughout the course of the entire soundtrack just to really create like an atmospheric soundtrack for this Batman movie using the variations of those themes. I mean, the Batman theme is promptly featured over the course of the soundtrack, and it sounds great, the different variation it gets. But Riddler's theme is great. It has this really creepy feel to it. Catwoman's theme is also really great. It just goes together. I think each theme complements each other very nicely. So over the course of the entire soundtracks, you hear it throughout. It just sounds really, really great. So the music, I can't say I'm excited to see what it's like when I see the movie or hear what it's like when I see the movie because I heard it already, but it just definitely made me more excited to hear those songs in how it plays over the course of the movie and actually seeing the scenes that they're attached with. So yeah, the soundtrack is great. Michael Giacchino's added his name to the list of great Batman composers and Batman music. We're just getting spoiled on how many great Batman music there is now over the course of movies, TV shows, and video games. It's just incredible how many great themes and pieces of music he has now, and a new one has been added to this list. So yeah, first thing I'm going to mention is what has me super excited right now for the Batman is the soundtrack.
Yeah, now that you mention it, or yeah, like I had no idea that they released the soundtrack, but yeah, I'm not going to listen to it. I want to be surprised in the theater.
Yeah, I know a lot
Yeah,
of people are like that. I'm kind of the odd man out, I think, in that regard,
Yeah.
but I totally get why. So
that's why you get spoiled, Tim.
well,
Qui-Gon's funeral.
ever since Qui-Gon's Noble End, I think most
Yeah.
movies have learned from that to be creative with their track titles.
Yeah. I guess what I'm excited about in general is to see what, again, in general, is to see what DC / Warner Brothers is going to do with this movie. It seems like this is it, right? Like, I mean, I know there's going to be another Wonder Woman movie, and then Aquaman 2, I think, is done filming.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, but it seems like they're putting everything behind this movie, this Batman movie, and I'm just wondering what they're trying to do, because like I know they have the long runtime. Was it like The Dark Knight Rises, where it's like 2 hours and 45 minutes?
Longer than The Dark Knight Rises. It's going to be the longest Batman movie.
Yeah, and like they have the long runtime, which reminds me of Eternals, really, which was supposed to be like, I guess, Marvel. I mean, I was reading this article where like Eternals was supposed to be Marvel's Oscar push, right? The Best Picture Oscar push.
Really?
And
I never heard that, but interesting.
And it makes sense, like the way it was shot, certain shots, the runtime, especially, because I know that was one of my major complaints, was the runtime and how like some scenes could have been cut shorter.
Yeah.
But after reading the article, that makes more sense, where they're trying to add more character into it and try to like expand their story a little bit. And maybe mixed results on the Oscar thing. I know it wasn't nominated for anything significant. But yeah, that makes more sense. And I'm not saying that the Batman is DC's push or Warner Brothers push for an Oscar, but yeah, I'm just wondering what they're going to do in general. Is this going to be like the Eternals, where it's going to be an Oscar push, sort of Oscar bait type film, or is this going to be, a superhero film? It seems like they're pushing more towards the Oscar side and not so much towards the superhero side, which I'm all for. But yeah, just in general, what in general is Warner Brothers looking looking for in this movie? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question because I really think it's going to be something that's going to be in its own corner of the DC superhero movies because it's not going to be connected with all the other movies that they have coming out, like Aquaman, like Black Adam, and The Flash. And knowing how they're still going to have that universe and building off that universe and redoing it probably after The Flash. But the Batman's going to have its own corner, and that's a good question because it kind of makes you think which one are they kind of gonna want to like support more, for lack of better words, or see which one does better. Because, like I said, they're gonna have two different corners of DC superhero movies to play with if the Batman is successful. And I guess that's the question. Obviously, if it does gangbusters and makes all the money that they're probably expecting, they're gonna want to maybe put more into that. But it is going to be curious moving forward, like you said, because it is something that's kind of unprecedented what we've seen in superhero movies before, as far as the studio kind of creating two different universes. And I know the multiverse is becoming a big thing now in all superhero movies, Marvel and DC. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play out. But
yeah, and it also doesn't even seem like a blockbuster, right? At least not in the way they're promoting it.
Yeah.
It doesn't even seem like a blockbuster either. So like, what in general is like Warner Brothers trying to get out of this film? That's the big mystery. And like, is that gonna hamper the film, where it's not gonna be one thing or the other thing or the other thing, and it's like uneven, or is it something we've never seen before?
That actually kind of leads into kind of my second thing of what I'm most excited about to see with the Batman, and that is just plainly Matt Reeves' take on Batman. And that's kind of what I feel like Warner Brothers is just doing right now, is letting Matt Reeves make his Batman movie. And which is great, because when a director is when you have a writer and director tell their vision how they want, you want them to have the freedom, the creative freedom to do and tell the story he wants to tell. And of course, in the confines of the mythos of Batman lore that we know, and that should be respected by anyone who's kind of doing adapting a Batman story. But just the moment it was not even announced, but reported on, like through the trades, how Matt Reeves is in the talks for directing the next Batman movie, I'm like, oh, that's such a no-brainer. Like, I would be so excited to see his take on Batman, because I loved his two Planet of the Apes movies, especially the second one, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. That movie is incredible. And just knowing how he is as a storyteller and a filmmaker, I just thought he'd be a perfect choice to do the new Batman movie. And how I mentioned earlier, I was disappointed where it found out talks fell apart. But then how I came to an agreement where there's a lot of interviews with Matt Reeves, obviously, right now promoting the movie, kind of shedding some light on what went down. And he was talking about that whole process of kind of why talks did break down, is how it was, I think, all had to do with Warner Brothers still at that time trying to build up the DCEU and tell this connective Batman stories just set deep within like the heart of the DC universe. And I love those type of stories too. I think it would have been awesome if we got a Batman movie like that. Don't get me wrong, but the idea that they really wanted Matt Reeves, but it has to be the story he wants to tell. And if that's not something he wanted to do, then I like how he said this maybe isn't for me, because he described it as kind of like a James Bond type Batman movie. He like gave him all the credit in the world. Hey, you guys want to make this movie? It sounds cool. I'd probably see it, but it's not the movie I would make. So it'd probably be best if we kind of parted ways here. But then I think Warner Brothers realized it's probably more important to have Matt Reeves on board as a director for the Batman movie instead of trying to have it connect into the broader DC movie universe. And so they eventually came to an agreement. And so I'm glad that happened. I mean, like I said, I want to see Matt Reeves's take on Batman. And I think it's looking like a really awesome take from what we've seen from the trailers and stuff and the little bit they talked about it. So that's just a really huge reason why I'm so excited for this movie, is that it is Matt Reeves' Batman movie. And that alone it got me excited when it was first announced. It has me excited when I saw the trailers, and it just even has me more excited right now as we're so close to seeing this movie. And I just think he's really going to deliver on a really special Batman movie, just off of what I've seen and just hearing him talking about it too. going for this type of Batman movie. I will say too, it's not something that I don't think is going to be totally like original. There's going to be stuff we've never seen in a Batman movie before. Don't get me wrong, but I also think there's going to be some familiar stuff because talking about the grounded take, having things being more realistic, and we've got that in the Nolan movies. So I don't think it's going to be like super different, like something we've never seen in a Batman movie before, all the way through. But at the same time, I think we're going to get a different type of Batman story that we haven't seen before. And that's what I'm excited about as well. So just the idea that we're getting a Matt Reeves Batman movie, that's something that had me excited from the get-go. And like I said, just really more excited about it now that we're just a few days away from experiencing what a Matt Reeves Batman movie is going to be like.
What if it was just a marketing scheme and it's really a happy Batman?
Everything in the trailers is just like all just made for the trailers to throw you off course.
Yeah.
Right?
Or cut footage.
Yeah.
It's just there to throw you off, and it's really a happy Batman. That'd be interesting. But no, it looks like they're really stepping into that dark, emotional, mentally ill, I guess you could say, Batman. It looks like they're really, really leaning forward into that, and judging from everything that Robert Pattinson has said, it's like seems like it's true. But Tim, I do have to say, this is my favorite time for when movies come out. I was like, it was exactly like this when Spider-Man: No Way Home came out, and the Uncharted movie, and now the Batman movie. This is my absolute favorite time. Especially, I mean, I haven't been on Twitter in a couple of days because, everything that's going on in the world, I just don't want to see it right now. And
sure, I can understand that.
Yeah. But this is my favorite time because, like, on these comic book websites, these movie websites, it's always like, did you know on the set of the Batman, Zoe Kravitz was actually riding a motorcycle backwards?
Just try to get any little story they can to drive clicks to their site to tie in with the release of a new movie, right?
or did you know Tom Holland, when he was filming the Uncharted movie, he was actually on set in South Africa? Did you know that, Tim?
The other one I saw was, did you know that he was actually a bartender preparing for the role? That's the one I see making the headlines going around.
Yeah, this is my favorite time for when movies come out because, like, people, I guess, clickbait. They want more people on their sites, so it's like any little thing from like an interview. It's like let's just put it in there. So this is my favorite. This is my favorite time for when movies come out.
That just gets you more excited to see the actual movie, right? Just all these clickbait articles and headlines.
Yeah, and like we
that's
got
what really sells the movie for you.
we got the Obi-Wan show coming up, and I absolutely cannot wait. I can't wait for the week leading up to it, the 2 weeks leading up, 3 weeks leading up to it. I can't wait for that because then we're gonna have all the little articles about like what kind of sandals that Ewan McGregor used. I can't wait for it. That's why I'm pumped for the Obi-Wan show. Nothing else.
Thankfully, you don't have that much longer to wait. I mean, May 25th, and all that stuff happens, like you said, a few weeks beforehand. So, talk about getting excited for it. You don't have to wait much longer for that.
Yeah. So that's why I really can't wait for a new Star Wars movie to come out. Because it's going to be on overload, Tim. It's going to be such a fantastic time to be on Twitter. Like the few weeks that lead up to the release of the movie, I just can't wait for that.
Because it's all just going to
Um,
be how everyone's excited for it, right? Nothing about complaining about it. It's all going
oh
to be
no,
nothing
no,
but
no
positive
way,
excitement.
no way, ruining the Star Wars legacy. No way. It's all gonna be positive, Tim. You know, ruining Alec Guinness's legacy. I I can't wait. No, no way, Tim. No way.
I think those articles probably came around the Phantom Menace about Alec Guinness's legacy and
Oh
the
yeah,
character Obi-Wan. So
I can
might be a
almost
little late on
guarantee
that.
it. What was funny was like around the time I want to say when the Last Jedi was coming out. I can't remember which website, but they put out old fan letters. I think I mentioned this to you, but I'm not sure. So stop me if you have heard it. But um, they put out old fan letters from Star Wars magazine. I can't remember what it's called. Was it called Starlog?
Starlog doesn't ring a bell. But it's just the only ones I know is Star Wars Insider, obviously still going, and then the Lucasfilm Fan Club magazine was the one before that.
No, I'm talking about like when the original trilogy was coming out.
Okay, maybe there was
Yeah,
one called Starlog.
yeah. Anyway, they were putting out like old fan letters from like this fan magazine. What after Empire came out, but before Jedi came out, and the amount of complaints that people had about Princess Leia choosing Han, or like they could tell that Han was the main love interest for Princess Leia. Like the amount of hate mail that they got sent was like, oh, like why would you choose Han? Han is a smuggler, but why would you choose Luke? Luke, um, is the hero and he rescues people and all this sort of stuff. And Han with his pursed lips, I think was like a direct quote.
Wow.
And it's like, you guys just have to wait for the third movie. You guys just have to wait. But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Well, just goes to show you,
But
even back then, I mean, people didn't need the internet to voice their complaint.
yeah, in hindsight, you should have waited.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
way things shook out.
And I'm sure even then they weren't satisfied.
What do you mean? You want Luke and Leia to be together after you find out the information? Okay, that's weird.
Well, trust me, I'm sure they had other things to complain about with Return of the Jedi. Has been well documented.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure. I am sure.
Yep. And then for me, I guess getting back to our excitement levels for the Batman, but minus the complaints already for this movie are out there. If you look, you got the whole like Snyder excess fans with his universe trying to, I'm going to use air quotes here, boycott the movie and not see it, which like that's going to do any good. Or the fact that they say they're not going to see it and they'll probably be in the theater seeing it anyway. It's just ridiculous. But so you're already, this movie is getting its own shake of the criticism before it's already out, which is annoying to see. But trying to keep it positive here. So the one last thing I'm going to mention that just has me excited more than anything else about going into this movie right now is really the type of stories that have been mentioned or at least hinted of that this movie looks to be taking inspiration from. And going back to DC Fandom 2020, where we got our first look at the movie, other than being treated to that amazing first trailer, what got me most excited about it was hearing Matt Reeves mention the story Ego as far as being one of the inspiration for his Batman movie. I absolutely love that story. I've talked about this. I talked about on this podcast several years ago how I felt it was kind of an underrated one that didn't get talked about a lot. But I think over the years, it's gotten the appreciation it deserves as more people, I think, have read it and realized just what a great story Darwin Cook created for Batman in that comic. And the fact that it's going to be used as somewhat of an inspiration for this movie, I just cannot wait. And it's something that you're not going to get like a full blown adaptation of it, but just we get the feel and just the state of mind that Bruce is in that story. I think that's really what Matt Reeves is probably going to take inspiration from for the Batman. It's just a really great story of diving into the psyche of Bruce Wayne and Batman and just how different those part of his mind can be. It's just really a fascinating read, and just the idea that Matt Reeves mentioned it and said that's was one of the inspirations for this movie. It's just was so cool to see, and still at the forefront of what has me excited about this movie. But then also too other ones. I mean, I can't remember if the story was actually said to be an inspiration, but I cannot help but feel that it is when seeing the trailers for it. But Batman Earth One, I just it's got a lot of vibes from that story and a lot of visual cues, even taking inspiration from that story, making its way into the Batman. I think Batman, Bruce and Alfred's relationship is going to be leaning more towards the Batman Earth One stuff that we got from Jeff Johns. And then also too, I just think how Batman is kind of how it's going to be early in his career. I think they said in the Batman it's going to be 2 years he's donned the cape and cowl, so it's still pretty early on, and just how we're still kind of see a Batman learning on the job, and maybe his equipment isn't all up to snuff that we've seen in other Batman movies. And I know that was a big thing in Batman Earth One. So that's another great story. I think it's really cool that they're taking inspiration from. And then also too, now this is one that I don't think anyone like who's making the film, I don't think Matt Reeves has said it, but it's something that I think is going to happen in the movie just based off some of the dialogue we've seen in the trailers. I really think we're going to take some stuff from the Telltale games, especially when it comes to the history of Bruce's parents and the Waynes. And maybe they weren't the best people that maybe he thought of. And he's going to learn some revelations about them over the course of this movie that the Riddler is going to bring to light, and how the Waynes do have their dark history that Bruce has probably got to come to terms with as a young Batman in this movie. And that's a fascinating concept to me, because I praised that in the Telltale games, how I thought it was such a different way to go about a Batman's origin, or better yet, or probably more accurately to say, the selling a Batman story set very early in his career, not necessarily his origin. Like the Batman's not going to be an origin movie, but it's such a fascinating and different concept to do about Bruce's parents, showing that maybe they weren't the greatest people that he thought they were. And does that change how he feels about going about his Batman? So if they go through that route in this movie, like I think they're going to, that's going to be something where we haven't seen before in a Batman movie. And also with Matt Reeves behind the helm as far as writing and directing a story like that, like I said, just has me super excited. And that is what has me excited the most about this movie, just the different Batman stories that I think it's taking inspiration from, and how I hope it all comes together to tell just one of the greatest Batman stories ever, whether it's a movie, comic, or animated series, or a video game, because we just want a great Batman story. And I think this one definitely has the potential to be exactly that, with the visual look of it, the creative team behind it, the actors and performances. I haven't even mentioned that, but how can you not be excited to see these new portrayals of iconic characters like Batman, Catwoman, the Riddler, Penguin, Gordon, because just everyone looks great in their roles from what we see in the trailer. And I just cannot wait to see a full movie with these portrayals of these characters. So just putting all that stuff together, it's just going to be one heck of an event for Batman fans this coming Thursday. So I'm excited for all those reasons I've mentioned. Thursday can't come soon enough. Going to a 7 p.m. showing, as we were talking about, I'm not sure we mentioned this previously, but how movie theaters are now having showings, like mine anyway, has one as early as 3:00. I wish I could make it to that very first one, but wanted to make sure I still see it on that opening night in the biggest theater possible in my local theater, which is a 7:00 showing. So I'll have to wait a little bit, but it's going to be worth it. It's like I said at the beginning, can't believe it's finally here, but going to be more excited to finally be in a movie theater next Thursday, seeing a new Batman movie, solo Batman movie, because it's going to be close to a decade since we had that with The Dark Knight Rises coming out in July of 2012. So not quite exactly 10 years to the date, but pretty darn close, since we've had a solo live action Batman movie. And it's going to be great to experience that again. So yeah, March 3rd cannot come soon enough, and I just cannot wait to see it and then talk about it on our next episode. So yeah, it's been a long time coming, but the moment's finally here, and it looks like to be a blast to experience.
Yeah, my last one is the Riddler.
My,
He wasn't really part of the marketing campaign at all.
no, yeah. Like you said, we still haven't
So
seen his actual face in anything.
right, right. And I think his mask was just revealed this past week, like his full mask.
Was it? Because I remember seeing like some type of poster images or maybe action figure images of kind of showing what the full mask is going to be.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe officially. I don't know. But yeah, just to see like a real attempt at the Riddler. No offense to Jim Carrey and Batman Forever, but yeah, just a real attempt at who or what the Riddler is. Yeah, that's probably what I'm looking forward to the most because, um, again, it's not a villain we've seen done seriously or done in a good way, and yeah, I just want and it's a villain that can be done in a really good way, like especially if you're going with like a dark story,
Yeah.
like it seems like what they're doing, and yeah, I just want to see the Riddler. I want to see what his scheme is, what's his story. So yeah, probably the last thing for me is the Riddler.
Yeah, I would agree that that's a big thing to be excited about because, like you said, it is going to be like a Riddler we've never seen before, and I think have the villain be done justice like his character deserves. So I'm with you on that. Just so much to be excited for with this movie. Yeah, it's great that it's finally here. All right, so yeah, the Batman is here. We're excited. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to talk about it. So, but before we end the episode, Dane, guess what?
What is that, Tim?
We have an email to read. Can you believe it?
Wow. Wow. Who sent it? Who was the person that sent it?
It was none other than our good friend, Mark Lemke. Yep, it's been a
Oh,
while since
that
we've heard from
guy.
Mark.
That guy. Okay, well, I guess we got to read it, Tim. I guess we got to read it.
Oh, I sense some bad blood between you and Mark, Dane. I don't know.
No bad blood between me and Mark. I really like Mark. He's a cool guy.
Yeah, it's been far too long since we heard from you, Mark. So really glad you sent in an email to catch up a little bit here. So I'll begin to read it right now. He says, "Hey, Dane and Tim, I really enjoyed the conversations around Mass Effect and Dane's experience of the game. Think I might take it up. Also, sorry I'm not writing in for a long time. The twins will be 5 in May, and that's crazy that I started listening in early 2015. Nuts. It's been hard keeping up on comics, and I've been trying to get back into them recently. Top 5 comics I should be reading besides Batman. Is the Tinian run worth it? I hope to build up momentum and get caught up." Well, first off, Mark, yeah, it's crazy to think that your twins are 5 now and that they kind of grew up along with you listening to the podcast, which is kind of crazy to think about. But time has definitely flown by. But can't say thank you enough that you've been with us along the way since you started listening in 2015. And then glad to hear you're also ready to maybe take up playing Mass Effect. I mean, if you and Dane become hardcore Mass Effect fans, that's just awesome to have 2 more join the fan base. Speaking of which, Dane, have you beaten Mass Effect 2 yet?
No. That's actually gonna have to take a back seat, Tim.
Oh, did
a
you get
game
Elden
called,
Ring?
No.
Okay.
I just can't get into those impossible to beat games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
I know how you feel,
Sekiro
man.
or Lost Souls. Yeah, I just can't get into those. No, Horizon came out.
That's right. See,
Yeah.
I think Elden Ring recently has been getting all the buzz that Horizon just came out like a week before. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's the continuation of the story. I'm playing it on story mode because I just want to get the story. It is really, really good. Have you played Zero Dawn?
No, I haven't, but it's one of those games
Uh,
that I have but never started.
yeah, if it's really good. And it's finally good to get a PS5 game. You know, it's a PS5 exclusive game that shows off all of the bells and whistles.
It looks phenomenal.
Yeah, especially if you play it on there's two different options. One is performance, and the other is I can't remember the other one, but to boost up all the graphics. And if you play it on the boosted up graphics and stuff, it looks amazing. Like they really did a good job of like just everything, like especially like the water.
That stood out to me in the trailers.
Yeah, like the water effects look amazing. The machines look amazing. Alo looks amazing with her, especially like her hair. Like that. I mean, that's like the main feature of. I mean, what makes her distinctive, and like the details of her hair. I know it sounds stupid, but it's like I just couldn't stop looking at it. It's like is that real? But yeah, just a total complete package from the sound, especially if you have the PlayStation headphones, and of course the DualSense, like especially the DualSense. It's like you know when you're pulling back your bow, the bow on your
that must feel
arrow,
really good.
yeah, you can feel it like click into place, and like the rumble, like every time you're going through like bushes and stuff, you can like feel every little footstep. So yeah, it's just like the complete package, and I think this is like the first. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, but like this is the first PS5 game that that is like the complete package. Like this is showing off the PS5. Honestly, they should have launched with this, but like I know it's like the game development takes a long time, and you don't want to rush things. See Cyberpunk 2077, and yeah, like it should have launched with this. This is like the complete package, from the sound to the graphics to the DualSense to the performance of the PS5. It's like it's beautiful. Yeah.
But yeah, it looks great, and that's probably gonna be like my Mass Effect series where I'm gonna want to play them. It's just a matter of when, because I got the first one, like I said, but this one does look really, really good, and glad to hear it's delivering on its potential. How great it'll look coming from you.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, and it's weird. Like I feel like Forza Horizon 5 on the Xbox is like the game to show off the power of the new Xbox. And Horizon it's weird that two of my favorite games, probably my games of the year so far, are both have the word Horizon in them.
That's funny.
Forza Horizon and Horizon. So yeah, like Forza Horizon is like let's show off the new Xbox. So Horizon on PS5 is like let's show off the strength of the PS5. And I have to say, Tim, I'm sorry, but the PS5 has it over the Xbox.
Interesting. Well, when you're comparing the games, I will probably say Horizon does look better than I think Forza does, but
yeah. But it's close, and like I think the PlayStation 5 over the Xbox. PlayStation 5 takes the cake. Yeah.
Well,
I'm sorry, Tim.
It's all right. We all have our preferences. I just hope you don't forget about Mass Effect when you finish Horizon.
I haven't.
Please go back to it.
I only have 2 games on my PS5: Mass Effect and Horizon. So,
okay.
There you go.
It's right there for you then. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then as far as Mark's question about top 5 comics I should be reading besides Batman, honestly, as you probably heard me on the podcast, my comic reading has really dwindled over the last year. So the only ones like series I'm really reading every month is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, obviously, which continues to be great. And then I would also recommend, and I've been reading the Darth Vader. I don't even read all the Star Wars comics anymore. I usually wait for those to get on Marvel Unlimited. But the one Star Wars comic I have been reading on a monthly basis is the recent Darth Vader series. That has been phenomenal. Really great stuff. Been diving into both pretty much all eras of Star Wars, prequels, sequels, obviously original trilogy since it's taking place, Darth Vader's in it and taking place between Empire and Jedi. But Greg Pak has done a great job of incorporating all that Star Wars lore from all those eras into the story. It's been really phenomenal. But on the DC side of things, I will say if you want to check out something that's really different, but has been a really cool story, is Tom Taylor's Dark Knights of Steel, which is the DC universe set in medieval fantasy times. It's really cool, a really cool concept. He's doing interesting, different takes on the characters, but I think work really well for the story he's telling, especially when it comes to Bruce and Batman. What he does with him is something different, but I think is really working so far. So I would say definitely check out Dark Knights of Steel. I believe I just read issue 4. I think issue 5 might be out right now, but it's a 12-issue miniseries. So so far each issue I've read has been great. So you might want to check that one out. I would recommend that one. And as far as James Tynion's run on Batman, I haven't read all of it. That's actually the last bit I read was the Joker War. It was pretty good, not great. I don't think was up there with Scott Snyder's run, but I would say even some of Tom King stuff, because it was a mixed bag for me on Tom King. But when he had some good stories, they were really good, and I don't think James Tynion stuff was quite on that level. But for what I read, it was pretty decent. So, but I would definitely recommend checking out Dark Knights of Steel over that. But Mark also continues.
I'm sorry, Tim. I thought I could give him recommend.
Well, you see, I thought you read no comics compared to me reading so less comics nowadays. So I thought you weren't reading anything. I apologize.
No. Well, it is 2 titles. So, one of them you already mentioned, the Ninja Turtles ongoing is really good. You have to read it from the beginning. Read it from the beginning all the way through. It's over 100 issues, but trust me, they'll fly by.
Yeah.
That is the best comic I've read in a long time. The best ongoing comic I've read in a long time. Also, you forgot to mention The Last Ronin, the Ninja Turtles.
Silly me.
Dark Knight Returns themed comic. And yeah, so the ongoing TMNT book and The Last Ronin, you especially want to get caught up on The Last Ronin, which, I mean, you'll have plenty of time to get caught up because I think the last issue comes out in December 2025. So
don't say that.
No, there's 4 issues out right now, and then the 5th issue is coming out sometime later on this year. So yeah, those 2 books, especially, I can't tell you how great the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic book is. I know it sounds funny, and I don't know if like what your perception is of the Ninja Turtles, but like you can't get any more worse than I was before I read this comic book. I actually got mad at Tim for not forcing me to read it. So this is me.
I know I recommended it to him, but he didn't read it. But now he's mad that I didn't actually force him because of how awesome it was.
Yeah. So this is me forcing you, Mark, to read the Ninja Turtles ongoing book because it is some of the best comics I've read, and I don't know.
You could say it. You could say ever.
Ever. Okay, ever. Yeah. I'm totally comfortable with that. Totally comfortable with saying ever. Yeah. It's definitely up there. It's definitely in my top 5. So, yeah. Also, the High Republic books. Some of them are hit or miss for me, but like, you might really like the Star Wars High Republic books. The novels, the adult novels. Yeah, those are really worth it too.
I know you and me are split opinions on this one, Dane, but mainly the first novel for me, Light of the Jedi. But I know that's your least favorite.
Oh, the second one. The second one is the best one. I'm just saying.
You got to be the tiebreaker, Mark. Read both of them and tell us which one you like better. Then we'll see who the winner is.
Yeah.
But then Mark also says, this is for you, Dane. He goes, Dane, how are you feeling about Chelsea? They've won all the trophies now. And I take it this is soccer related, right?
Yeah. To be honest, I haven't really been watching any sports. I don't know. It's weird. Ever since the pandemic, I haven't really been watching sports. Not even baseball. Well, I mean, I've like been watching like highlights, and
well, you probably might not be watching baseball this year either.
I know, right? I'm not watching baseball this year, so like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about Chelsea. I haven't really been following Premier League, to be honest. I've been following more so the Bundesliga. So, yeah.
And I know absolutely nothing about that, so I can't say anything regarding that. So,
just say I'm right. I'm right,
okay.
And yeah, you're everybody else is wrong.
Dane, I totally agree with you. You're absolutely right.
Oh, great. Yeah, there we go.
And then Mark says, I'm excited for the new Batman movie, and somehow my wife is as well. Not sure how that happened, LOL. Oh, I know, Robert Pattinson. Take care, guys. Well, thank you again, Mark, for sending in an email. It's great to hear from you. And yep, as you've heard in this episode, we're excited for the Batman as well, and can't wait to talk about it and then hear your thoughts. So next time we record, if you want to send another email letting us know what you thought about it, if you've seen it, that would be great.
Yeah.
But with that, I guess that's going to do it for this episode. So as always, Dane, I'll throw it to you for the outro.
Okay, go over to the BatmanUniverse.net, Facebook.com/BatmanUniverse, Twitter handle is @BatmanUniverse. The show's Twitter handle is @BatFans Podcast. Tim's Twitter handle is @TimG311. I will say it because the 311 day is coming up.
It's right around the corner. The week after the Batman. It's going to be a great 2 weeks for me. I can't wait.
Where was I? Oh, my Twitter handle is @BatFans. Rate and review us on iTunes. And if you want to email the show like Mark did, it's batfanswithoutpants@gmail.com. So with that, like we say at the end of every single episode, Tim.
We love each and every one of you with all of our hearts, especially when we receive emails from Mark when it's been a long time. So our hearts are just filled with
It is. We'll see you guys next time.
See you next time, everybody.
Sunrise under Gotham, cry.